Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Automotive. And wow, do we have a show lined up for you tonight. You can see there's a guest sitting there next to Peter. But before we get there, Peter, how's it going, bro?
No, very good, man. Very good. I've been enjoying the Olympics.
Yeah?
I've actually decided that I have a shot at the Olympics. I mean, if you look at Eric the Eel from a few years back, and then now the latest iteration where Australia's breakdancing entrance, I think I've got a shot at
I've seen you dance, and I believe that you can make it there next. I don't know if they're going to have the breakdancing as part of the Olympics in the next edition. It sounds like it's already been dropped, by the way.
Well, how about the guy from Turkey?
I like that.
Right. Okay.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get back into this episode. It is Season 6, Episode 2. Welcome to Let's Talk Automotive. Right, we told you that we're doing things a little bit differently this time around, and the second episode, we've got one of the big shots here, one of the big guns
of one of the big brands.
Yeah, one of the big brands, one of the big shots. Henno Havenga, welcome to Let's Talk Automotive.
How's it, guys? Nice to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, so you guys see that he's got a Suzuki shirt on. Henno is actually the general manager, and he's looking after auto sales and marketing. So 2 jobs in one.
Master of none.
Wow, we don't believe that. We don't believe that.
Right, so tonight we have Henno on the show, and we thought that we would get Henno on and discuss a little bit of the journey of Suzuki in South Africa to start off with, Pete?
For sure. I think Suzuki is one of those brands that has captured everybody's imagination in this country, and we absolutely can't wait to tap into Henno's brain to try and understand the success factors behind Suzuki.
Sure. And
so I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. So I think let's get straight into it. I don't think we have time to waste because I don't want to run out of time tonight. There's lots that we need to talk about. So, welcome again, like I said. Can I jump in straight away and start firing questions at you?
This is your show, boys.
All right, then. So a lot of the viewers might not even realize this, but Suzuki hasn't been in South Africa really all that long, right? So take us back to 2008 when you guys entered the South African market, and some of the challenges that you guys faced back then to get this brand established.
Yeah, so I think it was quite a recent entry. We came back into the market under Japanese ownership in 2008 with a very limited product lineup, and of course it was a case of having to build the brand from scratch.
Yeah.
So with the perception of a motorcycle brand, we had to kind of convince South African consumers that Suzuki also build reliable and trustworthy automobiles.
Yeah.
And it's been a very interesting journey, starting from afresh in 2008.
We only had 4 models available back then, right?
Yeah, it was a very limited model lineup. I think the 2 big ones that everybody can relate to nowadays is the Swift and the Jimny, which is probably the 2 biggest sub-brands Suzuki have.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had the Grand Vitara as well as the SX4 back then.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, how quickly and how far we've come.
It's been an incredible journey, and I mean, at that stage already, South Africa was a very, very competitive landscape as well. We went from having, let's say, the big 7 to well over 50 brands. So, I mean, what were some of the things that Suzuki did from a strategic point of view to sort of carve out success over the years that we've seen?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is we were very fortunate in having an exceptional product lineup. Suzuki's product is known for really good value, and also of course really reliable, frugal in terms of fuel consumption. So it really makes a lot of sense for the consumer. And I think the one thing that stood out from the South African side is that we had to kind of fight smart with a little bit we had. So most brands had these huge war chests to market with, and we simply couldn't compete in the mainline media.
Yeah.
And therefore we went guerrilla style and went in with the marketing side of the digital side of the marketing scope, and we tried to put our funds in a place where we could really get a good return for it. So I think that's
so really focused on digital marketing and was probably then one of the first guys to really focus their attention there, right?
I think everybody had a little bit of a digital focus, and combined with their traditional strategy. But I think we had to really put everything in the market, the digital marketing side. So we really plowed everything in there, and we made sure that our strategy was sound, and that gave us really good momentum in the digital space over the years.
I've got to compliment you guys on that. I think first of all, you guys have, I personally believe, one of the best blogs out of all the OEMs on your websites, and the information that's contained in that blog is super interesting. And I mean, I subscribe to that blog, by the way, and I get at least once a week I get some form of communication from Suzuki. So there's no doubt that you guys are always ever present in my mind. So I can see why that was successful for you guys.
At the end of the day, we had to give something that showed the same value as our product. So our blog was set up with that same kind of mindset, and we tried to apply that back into the consumer space.
And I would honestly recommend that anybody watching the show now go and subscribe to that blog, because it's such interesting and valuable information that gets shared on a weekly basis, like you said. From how finance works to how to prepare your car to go on a holiday, and everything.
Camping recipes.
Yes, recipes. I mean,
best places to take your 4x4. Really cool stuff. And
really
so it's
cool.
Not just about bombarding the consumer with models and models and models. It's really interesting stuff.
Yeah,
love it.
I've got to say, one of our best performing blog articles was how to cook a chicken.
There you go.
All right. I think Peter, you've got the third question there for Henno, right?
Yeah, I think it ties in with that. It might be a similar question in terms of Suzuki's shown tremendous growth over the last few years. I mean, what is it that you can subscribe Suzuki's growth to? What do you attribute your success to?
Yeah, I think any successful business starts with a really good product. Having a product lineup that is so adored by customers, and really good value for money is the foundation of it. And then of course we've got a dealer network that's been exceptionally loyal to the Suzuki brand, but also really loyal to the customer base. So our dealer network has played a massive role in it. And I think also the South African market conditions have played in our favor over the years. We have very rational product that makes sense during tough times, and the market being under pressure has been good to us as well.
On that point, tell me in numbers sense, how big has the dealer network now become?
So that's an interesting one. We started off in 2008 with 18 dealers, and if Japan isn't listening, because we have official and unofficial numbers of the amount of dealers we have, but we have around about 108 dealers now. So and that includes our neighboring territories. So
so you guys also look after the likes of Botswana, Namibia, and
every country that shares a border with South Africa. Essentially.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's very interesting. I think that's probably one of the questions that was stopping people from buying Suzukis in the beginning. That the backup. Do you guys have the backup to look after me when I'm traveling around the country?
I think it's also fair to say that people also associated Suzuki as a motorcycle brand.
Yeah,
and I think it was something that South African consumers had to overcome, this mindset into realizing that Suzuki worldwide is one of the largest automotive players out there, although we started off small in South Africa.
Yes. No, definitely. I mean, Suzuki has been building successfully building motor cars globally for many, many years. It's a brand that's much older than most people will know. And yeah,
what's the number? How old is it at the moment?
So the first Suzuki company, or the first company Michio Suzuki established, was in 1909. So that pegs it at 115 years. But essentially, Suzuki Motor Corporation Suzuki was incorporated. My apologies, in 1920. So yeah, over 100 years ago, since 100 years of heritage.
Insane. So I mean, you actually celebrated, I remember this clearly, your 100th anniversary as Suzuki Motor Corporation, as you say, as incorporated, when Joan Mir won the World Championship MotoGP on a Suzuki.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, what a milestone.
Very cool, very cool.
Okay, so how's the South African automotive market evolved since Suzuki's entry? Okay, so obviously a lot of things has happened since 2008. And how have you guys been able to adapt to these changes? Because obviously you've done something right.
Yeah, so I mean, the South African motor industry has become very competitive. I mean, not so long ago there were a handful of brands, a little bit more maybe, in South Africa, and I think the amount of brands in South Africa at the moment is upwards of 50 or 70.
Sure.
I don't know what the exact number is, but there's a huge amount of players in the market, and the model ranges are so diverse. So I think the biggest thing with the South African market is the number of manufacturers and the number of vehicles available to the South African consumer. I think it gets very confusing out there. I'm glad I'm not a consumer. I've decided I drive a Suzuki, so it's easy.
True story. Okay, so on that point, you guys are very specifically focused in a is it, can I say it like a price bracket, or is it it's not really a segment, right? It's more of a price bracket.
Yeah, so I mean, Suzuki globally is a small car manufacturer. It's their expertise. It's what Suzuki does. Is we build small motor cars, small of good value for money, affordable, frugal motor cars, and I think that's what we've done really well over the years. Is we've stayed true to that philosophy.
Yeah.
As we continue to focus on the lower end of the market, it's not an easy segment of the market because of the margins.
Yes.
But it's what we've stayed true to. Is we've never tried to become something that we're not. We are small car manufacturers, and that's what we've stayed.
Awesome. And we were chatting a little bit earlier about the impact that COVID had, and that there was clearly an individual at Suzuki that had the courage to perhaps put in a whole lot of orders where other manufacturers held back. And one of the things that hit us hard in the motor industry was the shortage of the semiconductor or the microchips, but that didn't appear to impact Suzuki too much. And there's a specific reason behind that, which I think is quite valuable.
Yeah, so I think mainly as our factory just had the ability to overcome a lot of it. I think the power of the Maruti Suzuki in India in terms of the availability of the semiconductor, and then also the fact that our vehicles are positioned at the lower end of the market means that the necessity for the amount of semiconductors per vehicle was a lot lower than some of the other manufacturers. So it played to our advantage to be in the lower end of the market at that point, and then also our factory being able to use their muscle in India to make sure that we have the correct number of semiconductors.
Yeah, it was obvious. It was obvious that you guys had the stock and the ability to carry on trading when others couldn't. So I'm sure that also had an impact.
Definitely.
I mean, Suzuki, you launched with 4 models, so you had Grand Vitara, Swift, Jimny, and SX4. So there is I suppose, a strong history that Suzuki has in terms of having a strong SUV range. So what drove the focus for Suzuki to have this SUV range, and how has it impacted on your overall market share that you enjoy?
Yeah, so I think the one thing Suzuki has done really well over the years is listen to the consumer. We've not tried to reinvent the market and force consumers into our way of thinking. The market and the industry has moved towards the SUV segment, and Suzuki has naturally progressed with that and given customers what they want. But I think most importantly is the fact that Suzuki is actually the pioneer of the entry level SUV segment, and in the early 80s, Suzuki was the first to put the Vitara on the road, and
wow.
The others came thereafter. So it's I get goosebumps when I say that. I mean, it's
very impressive.
Unbelievable. But Suzuki is definitely the pioneer in that segment.
And we spoke a little bit as well about the fact that Suzuki did pioneer that. I've never thought about it that way. I mean, what did we have 20 years ago in terms of that segment? We only had Suzukis. I mean, that's the absolute truth of it.
Very cool.
So if you think the previous what we've seen as a Jimny, but the SJ was also part of that SUV segment. So we've really stayed true to that entry level SUV segment over the years.
Awesome. All right, so Henno, we actually joked about this earlier because I don't think we have enough time to actually answer this question. And it is, can you share some notable milestones or achievements for Suzuki in South Africa over the past 15 years? So what we'll do is we'll put up that brand wall that shows the history and all the stuff. But when we had this discussion, one of the things that we all sort of mentioned was the amount of consumer sort of awards that Suzuki's won. So voted by the consumer, which is very impressive, right?
Yeah. So I think thanks to Cars.coza for turning back to the consumer. And getting the voice of the consumer back into awards. So many of our models, I mean, Swift is probably the most awarded in the consumer awards for us. And then also Brand of the Year is a big thing for us. So the consumers have really showed appreciation and love for the Suzuki brand and product. And we can only say thank you for that.
I mean, I want to tell a little story behind that because for me, it really does represent the fact that Suzuki has become a brand that people aspire to. And I think what's critical is when you get youngsters that aspire to your brand, because then that shows you got longevity. And I mean, my daughter, when she had a matric dance last year, I'd arranged a super luxury premium SUV for her to go in this, and she was like, "Dad, no ways. There's absolutely no ways I'm going in that. I want to go in a Jimny 5-door." So we had to make some frantic calls through to head office. And thank you very much, guys, for lending us the vehicle. But there she went off in a Jimny 5-door. I mean, that for me was incredible.
No.
And to tag onto that, anybody that knows my family knows that Jessica, my oldest daughter, has already decided that she's getting a Jimny for her first car. So I'm already saving up because I've got another 3 years before I need to purchase. And now it's not just a 3-door, now it's a 5-door, and it's not just this, it's the GLX. So we've got our shit booked for us. Right?
Luckily you know somebody.
Yeah.
All right, so one thing that I want to mention is the Jimny World Car of the Year award that Jimny's won, right? That's a flippin' amazing award to win. Hey?
Oh, for sure. I mean, look at the competition that's out there.
Yeah, and I think the unique styling and just that the feeling that the Suzuki Jimny gives you is just something next level. There's just very few cars in the industry that really speaks to your heart. Like the Jimny does.
And I mean, the Jimny now, the latest generation Jimny was launched in 2018.
Correct.
If I'm right. Okay, so that makes it going on 6 years old.
Yeah.
It's still evergreen and it's still in demand.
Yeah.
It's insane how well that vehicle's doing.
No, it's been amazing.
And the big gap between those two models is also a testament. Like, the previous generation Jimny was just as popular for how long before we launched the new one? For 20 years.
Yeah, that's true as well. That was launched in 2008, if my memory serves me correctly. Yeah.
10 years old, my part.
Yeah. Crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's such a and what I like about the Jimny, the current version, is how true they stay to the heritage.
Yeah. There's lots of Easter eggs, I suppose, in the Jimny that you can
absolutely.
You can find. Very cool.
All right, so Henno, can we maybe talk about you a little bit? You know, can we get the viewers to sort of get to know you a little bit?
If you really have to.
He's getting shy now. He's getting shy.
All right.
I mean, I've known you, Henno, since I think you started at Suzuki. And you started off as an area manager, and now you're probably at executive level. I don't know how to describe it, but we're almost quite nervous to interview you. So tell us a little bit about your journey with Suzuki. How did you start, and a little bit about how your career trajectory's been, because it's actually, for me, I'm sorry, but it's a cool story. This is someone who's stayed with Suzuki from the get-go, pretty much with you. You've been there ever since, and I don't think you're ever going to leave.
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember, or if I told you before, but I actually came out of retail.
Yes.
So I moved from a dealership to Suzuki and in the capacity as an area manager, or what we call a district sales controller.
Okay.
And I think I had an idea of what our regional sales manager, or RSM, used to do in the years before, and I kind of figured out who I didn't want to be at Suzuki, and that's kind of the philosophy I followed. And I've worked in the dealer development department, I've worked in the sales department, I've worked in the marketing department, and so it's been an absolutely amazing journey. And I don't have an identity outside of Suzuki, to be honest, so I don't know what I would do after this. But Suzuki is my life.
Excellent, awesome. Excellent.
Right, so one of the things that stand out to us is the sort of core team that you guys have established at head office. Can you sort of share a little bit about maybe the secret behind what you guys are doing at head office with the people that you guys have there? It's just phenomenal dealing with you guys, and obviously that spills over to the dealer network as well.
Yeah, I think essentially there's a bunch of us that kind of eat, sleep, live, breathe Suzuki, and it's our passion, it's what we do, and we kind of want to carry it out. So it's an absolute honor to work with people that have been with Suzuki since inception in South Africa. I mean, there's quite a few of them, believe it or not, that's still there since Suzuki came back into South Africa, and living out the passion with the dealers that are just as passionate as we are, and growing the brand. It's kind of, sometimes it's funny that they pay me to do it. Erase that, please.
Mike, remember that. We'll bookmark this. We'll take that out.
Just kidding.
I mean, looking back at your career, there's obviously a whole lot of things that you've gone through, your key lessons and your key experiences. What would you tell a 10-year younger Henno, if you could meet a 10-year younger Henno? What would you say?
Join Suzuki sooner.
Join Suzuki sooner. Love it.
No, it's been an absolute journey, and I've really enjoyed every moment of it. So, may there be many more.
And I'm sure there will be.
I want to go back to the SUV story. Okay, so now that we've established that Suzuki was sort of pioneers in the segment, and we've already said that we're listening to our customers, or you listening to your customers, and this is where the growth is, and that's why we have these options. But at the moment, can we maybe talk about the SUV range that you have available, and where they are positioned maybe? So what do we have available, and why are they there strategically?
So I think once again what Suzuki has done really well is give SUVs to the market that everybody can partake in, or everybody can afford. So we play really well in the volume segments of the South African market, where the action really happens. The South African market really strong here between 250 and 350, and then also again kind of in the early 400s. So we have the Funks that starts at just below 300,000 Rand, which is probably the best value for money SUV you can buy in the South African market today.
It's actually become a little bit of a problem for you guys. It's so popular.
Yeah, so we're really grateful for the consumer reception on the vehicle.
But it's well deserved, because it's unbelievable value. If you look at what you get standard in that vehicle, it's incredible.
No, for sure. And it kind of, what's beautiful is it's such a lifestyle enabler. It gives people the freedom to do what they want. And Franks has been amazing for us since inception last year, and we've now got the factory up to higher volume, so the volume starting to come in, and
there's some good
we
news.
can actually start meeting the demand of the customer, and we've been running a little bit behind on that, and we apologize for anybody that had to wait for their francs, but thank you for your loyalty and your patience.
And it's absolutely worth it.
100%.
Trust me.
And then just from just over the 355,000 rand, you have the Grand Vitara starting, which is another, one step up in terms of size. Beautiful vehicle, well-rounded, both of these frugal, but the Grand Vitara as well, and really well, equipped from the entry level onwards, with 6 airbags on the Grand Vitara from the GL model upwards, touchscreen radio, reverse camera, alloy wheels, push button start, keyless entry and push button start. So really, really well equipped from the entry level upwards, and you can get an auto for as low as 375,000 rand on the Grand Vitara, and then of course the Jimny, which is just absolutely iconic. It's been going, believe it or not, for well over 50 years. We're approaching the 55th anniversary of Jimny, which is just. Yeah, it's amazing for something to have longevity like that.
And I mean, worldwide, I think the numbers are that it sold something like 3.6 million units since inception. It's just a phenomenal success.
Unbelievable. It's really stamped its authority in the entry-level 4x4 segment. And the 5-door, which is our latest model, which we introduced late last year, starting from 430,000 Rand. But, aside from its heritage and that 4x4 capability, it's just an absolutely amazing city car. Like, I promise you, I have such problem at home with the Jimny 5-door, because my wife is forever taking it from me. So it's simply because it's so easy to park at school events. She has the confidence to climb a pavement with it. You're not supposed to climb pavements with cars. It's not allowed to. But when you have kids at school, you have to park in funny places. It's a reality with these school events. It's absolutely just it's loved by everybody. I got a thumbs up on the highway on the way here by the motorcyclist came at 160, slowed down next to me, showed me that the car is fantastic, and then carried on going. It's amazing.
And there's a little bit of a vibe going, a culture going with the Jimny owners, right?
Oh, yes,
there's a secret Jimny greeting that apparently they teach you when you get delivery of the car.
So we can probably have a whole episode on this, but I'll give you the 2 main Jimny rules. The first one is we greet. So it's either a flash or a hoot or a thumbs up or something like that. And then of course Jimny parking rules. If you go to a shopping centre and there's another Jimny parked, you park as close as possible.
Really?
I love it.
It's legit. It happens.
I want to just elaborate a little bit on the 5-door, because this is probably the first time in my life ever where I've been involved with a brand where the people kept on saying, why don't they do a 5-door Jimny? Why don't they do a 5-door Jimny? Why don't they do a 5-door Jimny? And we never had the answer. And then Suzuki listened, right?
Oh, that reminds me. Is there going to be a Jimny Bakkie?
Jeez, now you're putting him on the spot.
So, firstly, yes, Suzuki does listen. Suzuki listens to the consumer, and Suzuki tries to give people what's wanted and what's needed in the market. I mean, at the end of the day, consumers should get what they want. And then secondly, unfortunately, there are no cards or nothing on the cards for a Suzuki Bakkie yet, but I can assure you if there is one, I'm taking one as well.
There we go. You mentioned something about numbers just now, and we were talking earlier about this. You've got a sensational stat to share with us in terms of the growth of the volume of Suzuki.
So it's quite interesting how we progressed over the years. The first 50,000 units we sold took us 9 years, just over 9 years to sell, and in our last financial year, which ended in March this year, we sold 50,000 units. So
in 1 year.
What took us the first 9 years to do, we did in our last year as well.
That is insane. That's just proving that everybody's making the right choice here. Is that what we're talking about?
The reality for you guys is that I think there are some brands that have perhaps had a peak and then they've kind of dropped off. I think one of your success factors, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on this, is that you have never been tempted to sort of be greedy with the volumes and now start to up price. Your pricing has always remained super aggressive.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, we're here to serve the public. So we want to keep giving the public what they deserve, and that's good value for money, the right product at the right price at the right time. I think is really important.
Well, long may it continue.
I've got a backup and then sort of a into the last sort of question slipway type of vibe here. So we've just come off a year where you guys launched 5 new models in 1 year.
Correct.
Which is insane. Who launches 5 new models? So we've already said we had the Franks, we had the Jimny 5-door, and we had the Grand Vitara.
Yes.
What was the other 2 that we launched?
So let's stick to the passenger first. Was XL6, the little 6-seater kind of crossover MPV SUV vehicle. And then lastly, of course, the excellent value for money Eco, the little panel van. Which is starting to take off phenomenally. It's really doing well.
Because we are sort of missing something in that segment at the moment, right? So you've got the small little panel van. What's that called?
The Eco.
The Eco, and then the pickup, the small little
super
truck,
carry.
the super carry. Those are obviously also a little bit more commercial focused.
Yes.
Doing well at the moment?
Yes, exceptionally well. I mean, we now starting to average around about 350 units between the 2 per month. So it's really doing well. I mean, it's just, if you're running your own business, or if if you're buying something for the business, there's just no value for money like that. I mean, the ranging between 170 for the super carry and 210 for the Eco, 210,000 rand, including that. It's just absolute exceptional value for money.
Yes, that is insane. Okay, that led us.
We've got our last question. So, I mean, it's been a hell of a ride so far for Suzuki in South Africa. So what does the future hold for Suzuki? What are there any exciting models coming and that we can look forward to? And I think maybe what's loaded in this question, is, are we going to see hybrid and electric vehicles coming out of Suzuki?
Okay, so firstly, this year we'll be introducing the all-new Swift, which we're very excited about.
Sure.
Suzuki managed to take a vehicle that uses 4.9 litres per 100 kilometers and chop it down by 11% to 4.4 litres per 100 kilometers. Unbelievable. Really, really excited about the launch of Swift. And then in terms of electric vehicles, so there's obviously been a lot of R&D into that space, and Suzuki has the technology available. We have a lot of hybrid as well as electric vehicle development taking place, and when the South African market is ready for it, and the South African consumer wants to pay the price for it, and wants to switch over to greener form of transport, we will be ready for it. But I think we'll let the market drive us rather, as I said earlier, rather than forcing the market into our way.
That's it. I mean, and that's amazing, because I think perhaps some of the anxiety that consumers are feeling at the moment, particularly in South Africa, is that we are being forced into this. But if you guys have got that pull philosophy, then I'm sure it's going to be successful.
100%.
So just on that, Swift, are we expecting something completely different or not? Have you seen it?
Obviously, of course I've seen it.
So talk to me about it. What are we expecting?
So once again, Suzuki's been amazingly capable at really changing the vehicle without changing it a lot. The technology of it is fantastic. The vehicle will come in with really good specification from the entry level upwards. The design is really stylish, but whilst it remains kind of true to the original design and the original design concept. So, but the photos are out there. The car's been launched internationally, so if you go and Google 2024 Swift, you'll put a photo up. And then of course we'll have it at Festival of Motoring.
Oh really?
Oh, cool.
Am I right to say that? I don't know. Sorry, BC Sun. I hope I was allowed to say that.
Awesome.
All right, guys. That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for your time. We know that you guys are very busy. But thank you very much for taking the time to come and sit down and have a chat with us. And I hope that the viewers back home can actually, get to know the faces behind these big structures and how they work. And thank you very much for bringing Suzuki to South Africa. I'm flipping. We're excited about it.
For sure, and we can only wish you and the dealer network all the success in the future, and may it continue in terms of the fantastic growth that you guys are showing.
Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Right, guys, that brings us to the end of the show. So we'll see you again probably in the next couple of weeks. But I don't know, do you have something planned for the next episode? Is it my job or is it your job this time?
I think it's my job. I think I owe a How Things Work segment.
Yes.
So maybe what people can do is in the comment section put down something that they want to learn about, and we'll do the research and film something on that. And I think
keep a lookout for our review on the 5-door gym.
I was going to say, there's a review. There's a review coming.
Yeah. All right, guys, have a good one. See you soon.
Cheers, everyone.